contrary to what everyone thinks, forming new friendships as adults doesn't have to be hard. Today, I'll walk you through an epiphany map that'll transform the way you connect with the people around you. A gift that you can give to someone special and really deepen that bond. As successful modern professionals, we're always on the go because exploring new places and experiences is exhilarating. We've mastered the art of finding the perfect apartment and killing it on the job. But forming deep connections, that's where many of us struggle. And it matters more than we often admit. Because at the end of the day, what's the point of all our achievements if we can't share our wins, our challenges, our life with other driven people who truly get us? We want to belong, not just exist. This year, I faced this challenge in Lyon, France. 0 French skills, no familiar faces, just another newcomer trying to find my place. But unlike my 20-something self who'd be furiously bookmarking every must-see on Google Maps, I did something different. As I get older, I find this constant movement and experience collecting obsession was robbing me of feeling at home in a community. So I chose one cafe I really liked, Le Perco, and went there almost every day for a month. At first, sipping coffee with rapid French firing around me was pretty jarring. But gradually, something magical happened. I got to know Diego, the owner, his staff, the regulars. Soon, I was part of the local Croix-Rousse neighborhood, even featuring in Diego's new photography project. In a few short weeks, I had formed lifelong friendships and a genuine connection with the city and its people. For Diego's birthday, I want to give him what I call an empathy portrait map, a gift to show how much I appreciate and understand him. Let's dive in, starting with the center of our map. We're going to start with Diego in the center, and we're going to break out his past, present, future, and values. We're going to draw circles around these because these are going to be the major focus areas. When you're able to actually fully expand this out, you're going to get a really comprehensive portrait again, because you're drawing essentially like your understanding about the person. So for me, I like going in a chronological order. You're rehashing what you know about this person. And then we're going to get progressively deeper into who they are. So first, we're going to start with Uruguay, which is where he is originally from. And growing up, I remember him telling me the story about he protected these kids who were being bullied. This told me that about his gentleness, which is also part of values. He also grew up in a family that had a lot of different businesses, including in the meat industry. So he was actually like riding horses and herding cattle, like a literal cowboy, which also meant that he lived a bit of a rustic lifestyle plus very handy. And we're going to see how all these different elements connect in a bit. Eventually, he found himself as the manager of Rolling Stones of Uruguay until he met his wife and moved to France. Which brings us to the present, where he runs Le Perco. As I mentioned earlier, he is the absolute heart of the community. The thing that's really unique about Le Perco when you go in is actually all the vintage furniture, which gives it a lot of character. So there's the love for the old and overlooked, which is actually kind of a similar vibe to how he had protected the weaker kids. So already we can see some connections forming. Despite being the owner of a cafe, he's actually a photographer first, where he runs the biggest studio in Lyon, the Studio La Caire. I really like having these questions in this map because these are opportunities for us to expand on our relationship through understanding and listening. On top of this, he's also working on this new project called Lights On. And it's this book of a collection of photos of the locals of Croix-Rousse. And it's really a tribute to not just the neighborhood, but the people who bring the bright energy, the lights, essentially, to the place. Now we're back to values here. What I know about Diego is that he's all about love, respect, and simplicity, which sounds basic, but often the most basic things are the hardest things to do. But he literally embodies that. Everyone who walks past Le Perco can't help but actually have a more positive day when they go by. And this really means that he treats everyone equally. So we have equity, and I can tell that he's quite generous with his time and his help. Generosity, up. In terms of simplicity, he really wakes up and treats every day like a new day, which means far less control and a lot happier. And finally, what I noticed about his photography work is that it's heavily influenced by music. He literally puts on his headphones and starts photographing us. You can really tell he's in the flow. Combined with the fact that a lot of his subjects are actually dancers. So there's music components so strong that it could be classified beyond just like simple interest, but more like almost like a value. So now that we have finished the basic map, what I like to do is take the red pen, annotating a bit, making the map stand out, as well as to see how everything starts connecting and what it reveals about this person. So under love and respect, you can really see that again, like ever since he was a young boy, protecting the weak right there. Simplicity, I can say, is really related to his love for the old and the overlooked. You'll notice that I'm starting to originate things from the value standpoint. I think often what we do in our past, present, and future actually stems from what is it that we actually value. And of course we have music, which he was definitely listening to when he shoots for his project Lights On, as well as any other kind of photography. And his skill with photography is what allows him to pull off something like Lights On, as well as his exposition. I mean, the man literally has 20 years plus years of experience. So I'm gonna put skills. Music, I'm gonna put influence. And of course, Leperko then adds some of the inspiration behind Lights On. So we're gonna draw another arrow over here. Just to make the map pop a little bit, I like to underline the parts where they're quite major. So for example, we have Leperko, we got photography, expositions under future, Lights On project under future as well. We have Uruguay, past, as well as France, past. Well, I guess the other thing with Rolling Stones is that's related to music and culture. So we have that over here as well. Boom. There you have it. This is essentially a basic map of Diego. I've only known him for 30 days, which means that this map now allows me to start expanding on this. And here are my tips that's going to make this map even more special when you give it to somebody that you're trying to get to know. Number one, it's actually more of a technical thing. Use these erasable friction pens that you kind of see me correcting a little bit here and there, because even as an experienced mapper, I still screw up some lines here and there, right? What if I want to move some stuff around? You're able to do that with these friction pens that basically turn any notebook or paper into a whiteboard. And of course, having two of these is just awesome for highlighting these connections, which are honestly some of the most fun things to actually see once you start mapping these things out. My second tip is to write a note on the back of this map. I mean, you have so much white space here that you can just write a brief like, hey, I'm so grateful that I got to know you, and this is my drawing or my portrait of my understanding of you. And of course, you notice that I'm using like a traveler's notebook, which is really, really small in terms of real estate. If you're just starting with this type of technique, I would say I would use a much larger paper. It could be a Moleskine, could even be printer paper, but I recommend having some nicer paper, especially if you're giving it to somebody. Tip number 3 is, if I am doing this in a notebook, I actually take a scrapbook knife like this from my traveler's notebook pouch, and I'll actually snip it through, like literally just across. Boom. So it becomes one page. And then what I do is actually put it into an envelope like this, which I also keep in my notebook, just in case I want to send in letters, and give it to them in person or slow mail it to them, because you've already put in this work to really draw a portrait of them. It really completes the package. It's not like take a picture and then send it through email. There's something really, really special about the analog way of doing things, especially in the digital world. And remember what I said about questions? These are really, really important because you can actually sit alongside them and ask these questions and start expanding the answers in real time too.
These are exploration points to deepen your understanding and relationship with this person. Remember, growing roots in people and places that nourish you is key to our happiness outside of just monetary success. I created this 20-minute masterclass for global high achievers to navigate through big life shifts. It combines everything that I've learned in the various transitions I've gone through, and I've distilled them down into a simple 3-step process.
You can watch it 100% for free with the link below.
I would love to know in the comments below who you would make this empathy portrait map for. Until next time, take care.